Morning, guys. Welcome back. Hope Thanksgiving break was relaxing and rejuvenating for you. I know it was for me for the days that we got away before we brought the team back and had some pretty good practices with them. And football terms, they're the game week. They got a week, and they're focused and they're preparing. And so, I've always envied football coaches and different things and always kind of wanted to be one. So I guess this is our game week where I've got this week to kind of get them ready and prepare for a team that, as far as easing our way into the schedule, we didn't necessarily do that. Rockhurst is, first of all, going to their place is tough no matter who they have. But second year of a new coach who's a friend of mine, Pete Campbell. But then they're going to be really good. Really, really good. Some rankings came out in the city yesterday. They've got Rockhurst, both Kansas and Missouri side, ranked number 3. I think that's probably pretty accurate. I figured they'd be top 10, top 5 for certain. So they're going to be a really, really tough opponent. But the way that we've tried to do this is, from the time the tryouts started, the 3rd of November, is we've had some things that we had to get done. Really until we went on Thanksgiving break on Tuesday. For us, was our last practice. And so we get to Tuesday, we can kind of step back, evaluate where we are, figure out where we need to go, make some minor tweaks before we get this week. And then yesterday kind of started our game week prep for Rockhurst, but then also with playing Rockbridge on Sunday, having our tournament, we're going to have one day in between of practice, in between games for the first 5 games of the year. That's not ideal. I'd like to have a little bit more time so you can go through some things, but we'll find out the maturity level of our team, because the adjustments that'll need to be made are going to have to be made in the film room. They're going to have to be made mentally, just by them being self-evaluative enough to be able to say, okay, well, I'm not going to get enough repetition at it, so I got to really focus on it a little bit more. But the positive is, after the 5 games over the next 2 weeks are done, we'll have a pretty good idea about where we're at and what adjustments we need to make. But I've told you this already about this group, and nothing's really changed. They've been just diligent workers. They've shown up every day willing to work. They've played through fatigue. They've played through injury. They've played through illness. So they got the right makeup, and I'm excited for them to get rewarded with the ability to compete, because we've been basically going the entire month. We're in December now. We basically went the entire month of November, and they got to play in a scrimmage in front of some people, and that excited them. But at the same point, there were people on a horse and a ball with eyes that were playing before them. So I don't know how real it kind of felt for them, but we'll see. We'll see. I like them. Didn't have our greatest practice of the year yesterday, but I think that with the layoff and then coming back and having a full day of school, I understand why. Not that I'm okay with it, but I understand why. So we'll make some adjustments here Tuesday, Wednesday, and then get a lot of review and revision done Thursday, and go see what we can do versus Rock. So, kind of where we're at right now. But with that, I'll open it up to you guys, see what you guys got. I think that specifically for Rockhurst, how we're planning to specifically play them, I'd answer this way. Very, very little, because the first 22 practices that we've had are so that we have our foundation for whoever we play. Now, specific to Rockhurst, we know that in the past they've shown some tendencies that we're aware of, that we've tried to incorporate into practice. We did a little bit on Sunday, a little bit on Saturday, more on Sunday, and again yesterday. We'll practice today with some base stuff that we anticipate them doing, but at the same time, 2 guys for certain in their rotation are guys that played football on Saturday night in the state championship game. And so now those guys that for Rock just get done, they're going to practice. I don't know if they did something Sunday. They're going to practice yesterday. Well, I'm going to go watch them play tonight, because they play at least Summit North. So I'll watch them, kind of feel them out, see where they're at. Knowing full well that they'll play with limited practice, and then they'll have 2 days of practice before they play us. So what I see Tuesday might not be what I see Friday. So I don't put as much stock into the early season stuff as far as how we need to plan, how we need to make our adjustments. When we get to tournament championships, when we get to those type of things, you get an idea about what a team's going to do. But the first Friday night of the year is always kind of a crapshoot because, the atmosphere is going to be there. They're going to be excited to see basketball. And so how many points is that worth? How much of a home court advantage is that? And that's stuff that you can't really prepare for. You just got to experience. So I know this. I know they're going to be really, really good. They're going to be really, really well coached, and we'll roll it out and see what we can do.
How do you go about having a full week to prepare for a team, and then especially they need to have a tournament after that? What's the difference in preparing throughout the week?
Yeah, it's a really observant point. It allows you to kind of, so the first 19 practices before we go on break, those are 19 practices of stuff that we're going to do if it's November, if it's February, if it's before a game, if it's with a week off. Like the stuff that's so important to us, we did that the first 19 practices. Then we've made some changes where we've done some things specific to what we might see with our first few opponents. Then where it's going to get really tricky is how do you get across stuff specific to maybe when you don't have time to prepare, when you don't have a practice like we will the Friday of our tournament. How do you get that across? So as far as the week preparation is almost for the next 5 games. So you take a piece of each team and make sure that what their strength is or what they do well, you know how you can combat it, but you're doing that for 5 different opponents in 5 days with 1 day in between each. So the schedule for a player is really cool because they get to play. There's not a ton of time for them to have to sit around and worry about practices. They're going to get to play. And that's why the first 19, 20 practices are so important for us.
I know a couple of players have been having injuries. Are they going to be ready to play?
I am planning on not playing the injured guys. I'll know more Wednesday afternoon, talking with some doctors and some trainers. I'll know more then. But I'm operating under the assumption that they won't be able to go. So that provides an opportunity for some other guys to play. The thing is, one of them might be ready. I doubt the second one is, but one of them might be ready. And even if he's ready, I don't know if he's really going to be ready. So he's ready in the sense that the doctor probably tells him he can play, but is he ready in the fact of how many practices he's missed, what kind of shape he's in, and those things. So I'm planning on not having him, so then, if I do, then it's like a little extra bonus, I guess. Steve. Yeah, they've got some guards that can really play that have played with them for a while. They've got a kid named Cartier Dean who played with them when he was a sophomore. So our second Final Four team that year, we played Rock. He was a sophomore on the team. Rock's team won the state title that year in big class. He was a junior last year for him. Really, really solid player. He's really good. So he's kind of the guy that is probably getting the most of our attention at this point. They've got a couple other kids, Basil and Bame, who were football kids too, but each have some skills. And I just know Brock, I know Coach Campbell. I mean, they're going to have somebody who's going to be 6'7" and strong as an ox, and it just seems like, Rutgers always has those guys, and I'm certain they probably will on Friday night. Hopefully I get to see some decent things tonight in the scout to have an idea, but their guard play with Cartier and Basil and Bame is always something that's tough to go against, and so that'll provide our guards with a test early, and that's something we need to see because our guards are gonna get challenged throughout the year, and Friday night will certainly be the first one. Yeah, I do. I mean, I do think they'll be able to. I think, though, that, again, it's repetition and habit, so they've gone against their teammates for the last 18, 19, 20-day practices, so they've probably developed some habits and they're a little more comfortable than maybe even they need to be with, well, I know he can't steal the ball from me, so I can be a little loose with my handles. Whereas Friday night, that adjustment might be the difference between 1 possession, 2 possessions, and win and loss. So I do think they'll be able to hold their own. I have no doubt that they're going to be tough enough and that we're going to guard them and that we're going to limit their opportunities to score. I just hope that we don't turn it over. Give ourselves a chance to get shots at the goal. We get shots at the goal, we got a better chance. And that'll be the ultimate test. Rock does a pretty good job of turning you over. And that's something. And we've been emphasizing it at practice. Turnover does us no good, so we've been emphasizing it, doing some things to prepare them for it. But I'm confident we'll be able to handle it. As far as how much success we have, I don't know, but we'll be able to handle it.
It's obviously not a home game. How have you been telling your players, motivating them to, play as hard as they would?
Mm-hmm. The guys don't like hearing this, and people kind of laugh at it, but I know this. It's the biggest game of our year. And if you can't get up for it, then, and I got to give you some sort of speech, or I got to make sure there's a bunch of people in the stands, or I got to, as a coach, those are the teams you worry about. It's the biggest game of our year, and if you ask our players, I hope they'd tell you that. I hope they'd tell you it's the biggest game of the year for a couple of reasons. One, it's our first game, so you want to get started on the right foot. But 2, it's the next game that's in front of us. And for us, that makes it the biggest game we play in, because the approach to that, Alex, is if you take that approach, we've always found, and this is my own belief, and it's something our staff's always operated under, but you take that approach, then that way the games that maybe the outsiders would see as, oh, these are huge games, these are really big games, you treat them as another game. And so then that pressure and that anxiety that you have going into it hopefully isn't there. Because if we treat this as the biggest game of the year, we play it, it's done, it's over, we get some prep on Saturday, spend some time watching tape, we go to Sunday, that's our biggest game of the year. Because then when you play in big games, the difference between winning and losing is like that in big games. And we've had some teams in the past who've really embraced that, and you look at last year's team. I mean, we had lulls where we didn't play great, but once the game started to, once we got into the postseason and we got into elimination play, they were solid. They were really, really good, and I think that's because they had that mindset of making sure that, okay, this game we got to take it play by play. So it's the biggest game of our year simply because it's our next game, and then we'll make our adjustments after it. I'll wrap it up and just make sure that I told you guys this last week, but make sure you understand how much I appreciate what the players are doing. I mean, they're working their tails off for us. It's not easy. In addition to the practices, they've got conditioning requirements that they've got to meet. So they've been, maybe they've been whining and complaining to you about them, but there's a lot that goes into what you guys and what the fans are going to be able to see here over the next couple weeks. And, as an athlete, as a performer, and whatever you all do, you understand how important that is for them. So I know how much I appreciate them. Your support of them. Here at school, your support of them during our games, after our games, is just vital to our success, because it truly is, a family and a community that rallies behind us, and that's a lot of motivation for us. So hope to see you Friday night, and then for certain, when we get back here next week and start playing in our tournament, we always have had and anticipate always will have some great crowds, and look forward to seeing you guys when we get back next week, and I'll talk to you after a couple games and see where we're at. So thanks for being here this morning. Plan on seeing you soon.
My love. She bruises calls. She's flooded pistol shots, hold her down when soggy clothes and breathe.